Hi, everyone, and welcome to another story time brought to you by ABC Read and ABC Learn, in which we are here to help develop and nurture that love of reading in every child as well as every adult. How are you all doing out there today, evening, whatever time of day it is, wherever you are around the globe? I hope that you all are doing superberific. And I hope that you all have read or you're planning to read for at least 30 minutes a day. Yes, I've explained before in my other videos that sometimes I like to put some words together and create my own little words because that's what you can do with language when you are reading a lot. All right. So that is the beauty of reading. All right. And before I get started with our awesome story that I am like just so excited about, y'all. Our reading aloud tip is that reading aloud, or tip, benefit, whatever you prefer to say, reading aloud helps you to learn about other people's cultures as well as languages. That's right, you're getting that exposure to what other people are doing around the globe besides yourself. Okay? So that's what I wanted to say to you guys before we got started. And now Bam! What? Look at this cover of this awesome book. I mean, do I need to say anything? I mean, just sit. Wow, awesome, right? And for those of you who do not know who this awesome man is on this cover, his name is Nelson Mandela. All right. And the book is written and the paintings are by this brother right here is bad, y'all. Kadir Nelson. Okay. Awesome. 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 Well, this book right here, this book is going to be talking about just going into his Nelson Mandela's life as he was as a child and as he grew up, and how Nelson Mandela grew up to be a world hero. All right. So, not just in his country of South Africa, where he was born and raised, but around the globe, okay? Because he was known and he is still is known, even though he is passed now. He has left a legacy showing everybody this is what you do when you fight against injustice, inequality, all right? He was fighting against white supremacy, all right? And unfortunately, this is something that is ongoing to this day that people of color are still continuously fighting against, especially here in America, all right? So let's find out some more about our dear brother, Nelson Mandela. This is the title page. Rolihlahla played barefooted on the grassy hills of Kanu. He fought boys with sticks and shot birds with slingshots. The smartest Madiba child of 13, he was the only one chosen for school. His new teacher would not say his Xhosa name. She called him Nelson instead. Nelson was 9 when his father joined the ancestors in the sky. To continue his schooling, Nelson was sent miles away to live with a powerful chief. Brace yourself, my boy. His mother held her tears and said goodbye. The chief held council to warriors, medicine men, farmers, and laborers. The elder ones told stories of old Africa. For centuries, Thembu, Pando, Xhosa, and Zulu peoples lived in the mountains and valleys of South Africa. The land was bountiful, fertile, and rich. The people hunted, fished, and raised crops, living in relative peace. But they made war on European settlers who came in search of land and treasure. The settlers' weapons were stronger and breathed fire. Slowly, the people were conquered. Their land was taken and spirits dimmed. South Africa belonged to Europe. The elders grew quiet, and Nelson felt sorry. Nelson grew into a young man and attended fine schools in the golden city of Johannesburg, where Africans were poor and powerless. Nelson became a lawyer and defended those who could not defend themselves. The government grew harsh and created a cruel policy. It split the people in three: African, Indian, European. It was called apartheid. The people were set apart. European only beaches, European only parks, European only theaters. And the people protested. Nelson organized rallies to fight apartheid. We must win back Africa, he told them. South Africa is for all South Africans. Mandela, he shouted. Way through, they responded. Power to the people. And the people loved him. Speaking out was against the law, and Nelson was arrested and jailed for a fortnight with 100 men. They danced and sang, calling the ancestors to join the fight for freedom. Mandela Ngwethu. The ancestors sent their daughter Winnie to stand next to Nelson. They found a love and married and welcomed children into the world. Together, they stood and fought apartheid. The state vowed to put Nelson in jail, and he went underground. He wore different disguises and lived in the shadows. Empty flats, farmhouses, and bedrooms of friends became Nelson's home while he organized more rallies and protests. The police put out a warrant for his arrest, but they could not find him. Nelson slipped across the border to visit free nations where Black Liberians, Ethiopians, and Moroccans freely conversed with white Europeans and brown Egyptians. They shook hands, a glimpse of freedom for life at home. Nelson returned to South Africa to cleanse his homeland of hate and discrimination. With a vision for peace and harmony, Nelson felt renewed and ready to fight for freedom. But on a drive to town, he was captured arrested, and taken to jail. The people cried, "Free Mandela! Free Mandela!" Wet paint and posters covered South African walls. On a small island off the coast of the southern tip of Africa, Nelson sat in a tiny cell. Every day, the world passed him by. Cold mealies, thin blankets, hard labor. Nelson hammered rocks into dust and read, studied, and educated fellow prisoners. Days turned into weeks, months, and years. His children grew up, relatives passed away. South Africa began to fall apart. There were more protests, more rallies, and violence. The people needed a leader. Nelson snuck a message to the people. "I will return." As years passed, the world pressed South Africa to change. The new president agreed, and European only signs came down. Beaches, parks, and theaters opened. Nelson's comrades were set free. Apartheid was no more. Nelson was an old man. After 27 and one half years, the prison gates opened and Nelson was at last set free. Thousands surrounded him, and when he hugged him, Nelson looked into the sky and smiled at the ancestors. "Mandela, thank you." The sun sparkled in his gray and white hair. Nelson stood proudly with the wind at his back and spoke to a colorful sea of people. "We must forget our terrible past and build a better future for South Africa. Let us continue to fight for justice and walk the last mile to freedom." Millions were given the vote and elected Nelson Mandela their new leader. South Africa was free at last and finally at peace. The ancestors, the people, the world celebrated. Mandela no waitu. The end. Woo! Reading that story just gave me a lot of chills. I don't know about you guys, but I really was inspired, and I'm pretty sure you all were too. An awesome story about a wonderful man who stood up against injustice, who stood up against inequality. And I hope that you all learned that lesson from our dear brother, Nelson Mandela. And I hope that you all forgive me. I tried my best to pronounce the words in the Xhosa language. So I hope anybody from South Africa who has watched this video, please forgive me of my mispronunciations. I tried my best, but I do have something I wanted you all to listen to that I found on YouTube, and hopefully that'll do it a little bit justice, the words that I mispronounced. Please forgive me. And again, I hope that you all like, subscribe, and share our videos. And please, please keep remembering to read at least 30 minutes a day. Power to the people. Talk to you later, reading family. Peace.